Wednesday. I hope you're all doing well. Hey, Nick, how are you?
Hello, I'm doing good. Thank you. And yourself?
Pretty good, thank you. Middle of the week already. Week is flying by. So, we're doing our last day of our mini series for custom themes and shared styles. If you'd like to support the channel, we would appreciate it. You got three options here. One of our subscriptions. Basically, you subscribe to our video training, and then you get a ton of videos on FileMaker. And you're like, well, you already do this for free. Why do I need to pay for anything? You don't. One, it helps keep the channel running, but two, also, our free training is done in a very different style to our paid training. Our paid training covers very specific topics, and it covers things like concisely and animated. Our live stream training is a way of connecting with the community as well as also training the community. So we have a lot of community interaction. And so we kind of let things meander for an hour. The video training is very straight to the point and about very, very specific and narrow topics. With that all being said, Nick, what are we doing today?
Okay, today we do the last day on the theme. Okay, theme are not. It's not a wild, topic, right? But theme is something like FileMaker has done. Have done halfway. Okay, it's not done. It's not finished. Okay, and they neglected it because overwhelmed by the complexity. Okay, so. And I mean, FileMaker is the layout we have so many freedom that is almost impossible to control, right? So the theme is pretty much a control of all the components and all the objects. So since we have all this freedom to do whatever we want, it's hard to change the theme, right? It's very hard. So when you start with a theme, don't expect that at the middle of the way you can just say, "Oh, let's change it," for another one. So it won't work because you will be overwhelmed by the efforts of pretty much redesign everything, right? So um, so when you decide a theme, you say, okay, I'm sticking with this one, right? Uh, don't don't go another one. Okay. So I have one I call Morpheus, and it's a theme based on the latest design canons that we have are outside, right? So every 5, 6 years, I come with a new design based on the evolution, So we have an evolution like this. So you do like this. Also, when so yesterday I made a big point about the costs of having complex objects, right? So you need to stay in very, very, you know, uh, few objects and few differences between objects, right? And keep all your objects free of constraint. So that's why don't don't give her a lot of importance of overstates and stuff like that. Just use it when it needs, okay, when it's needed, not when all the time. So I'm going to show you some example here on when I'm using states and stuff like this, which makes a difference. Okay, add our discoverability of the usage of the layout for the users, right? Yesterday I showed buttons. Today I'm going to show an object, interaction a little bit more complex, like a portal, right? But before this, we're going to talk about how to name your styles, okay, and how to modify styles and get styles, right? So let's start with something here. So I'm going to share my screen here. So of course we start with let's start with a button, because a button is more important. So we have the default button here. This is a default button, okay, with an icon, right? So that's the default button, no background. So that means why no background, right? So if I have a background like this, so this works well here, right? This works well here.
Mm-hmm.
And it will works well if I do this, right? See, no efforts, no efforts, right? So you the button doesn't bother you. You draw the button, you have your button here, and that's it, right? Okay, so it's not going to bother you, right? So that's why, and the same for fields, right? So let's say I have a field here, like a date, right? And I have a number here, right? So the field is not going to bother you. I have the same, and I can have a date here, for example. So you see the field will get the background of where you put it, right? So it's not going to bother you. The background, the borders and background and whatever effect you want to give, which is not necessary. So when you have a button like this, let's say you want to build, let's clean up like this. You want to build different objects out of this. So you duplicate the object here and you say, okay, I want something more evolved. So I want borders like this. I want a button like this, right? So I want this, and this is an evolution of this button. But also, right, since this is the bordered, it's a bordered button, right? So I want to I want to have multiple version of this. So I have this version here, which is I can build a hoverable version of it, right? So you have this, right? So here you have on the hover, I want this border, light. On the press, I want this border, and on the focus, the normal. So now I have an object with a hover state, right? Hover press multiple states. So let's do this, right? So I have this one. So I have this hover, and now I have this one, right? So how I'm going to name this? This is a standard. How I'm going to name this one? Okay. So, I'm in Morpheus here. Okay. Let me go to this theme here because I don't want the theme. So revert to the default. So this is the default button, right? And this is, so which one the default? Arial 13. So let's change to 13, right? So then I have the same as this. So this is a highlight, right? So I have my default here, and this is the default but modify. See here, I have something. So I want to save that as a new style, okay? So you save as a new style, right? If I do this, it replaces the default with this. I want a new style. So how you name the style? You don't name the style by what they do, but what they are, right? You don't say like the new style, like a back button or print button or next button or whatever, delete button. No, you don't name that this. You don't name this for what they are, what they do, but you name them for what they are. Okay. So you say this is highlighted, highlight. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. So this is a highlight one. Okay. Highlight one. That's it. We don't need even the underscore. This is highlight one. So now I have an object, right? So this is highlight one. This is default. Highlight one. So now if I go and I do this. Sorry, I draw a button. I don't drop. I draw a button. By default, it comes this, right? By default, but I can come here and change this, right? Correct? So also, I can play with this, I can change the style of an object. So now let's go and continue. I want another one, you know? So I want something different, something I'm using often. No background, no border, but I want a background. And this is my defaults. I mean, this is the base. So I want the plain, right? I have this one and I have this one. I want the plain button. This is the plain, okay? This is plain. So I want the same type of hover state on this, okay? So I copy this, paste it. So I copy the normal, I paste on hover. And then I change the background because that's the hover state, right? And then press the same thing, right? But I can paste this, then I get the color of the white because this won't change. Is we stay white on hover and press and everywhere. But now I'm pressed, I want this. And then in focus, normal. So now I have another button here with another type of press states, right? And this, I'm going to name it. So because this is based on highlight one, but I want another, okay? So here, I call that new style, background one, because that's a background. So I have the highlight, the background, and the default, right? So now you can have variant on those, okay? You can have variant. For example, here, I want a variant of this one. So how I call it? So you go there, you change what you want to do. Well, what I want to do, I want when I hover, so look what I'm going to do here. I want this state when I hover this. I want to keep, so I want to keep this view, but when I hover, I want this. So I copy this, I copy the normal states of this object. I come here, I go to hover, and I paste. Same for here, I want the press state of this one, and I want to put it here. Correct? And focus normal. So now I have another object here. But it's a highlight different. So 7U highlights 2. So now I have highlight 1, highlight 2, background 1. Right? I have this, this. See? But I know what they are. So now, do we have any questions so far? I'm surprised that we don't have more questions.
I don't see any at the moment, so if you're
Okay.
not following, let me know.
Okay. So now I have those objects, but I want to do something different here, right? I want this here to be named differently. I want a variant on this one. And what will be the variation of this? Will be, well, I want the red one. right? So hover, pressed, right? And in focus. So now this one is the same as the background one, but the only difference I have is the color, right? So I name it a new style, and this is a background 1.1. So now you know they group together, right? So I can continue and say, yeah, but now I want the green one, right? So you go the same, hover, pressed, right? And you save it. And you guessed it. I'm going to name it 1.2. So now when I'm here, I have 1.1, 1.2, highlight 1.1. So when you do a variation of the same button, you you know, you name like this and you put numbers. Why? Is because you don't want to put the name, you don't want to put the color there. You can if you want, but if tomorrow you want to change the color, you need to, if you decide that this color you don't want anymore, right? You understand what I want to say? So it will be hard. I mean, harder. You need to remember to change the color, right? To change the name on the default. I rather do this because it's easier to do ding 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 ding, and to find out which one is. But with the time, oh, the one is a red and the two is a green. I mean, but the important is to get those named like this. Don't put what they do, put what they are. With simplistic names, this highlight, this is background one. So, and you can see here, I don't have a huge difference between those buttons. That's why they are interchangeable. If I have a layout and I want this one, boom, it's the same. You don't have a lot of variations. Anyway, in your layout, when you use a button like this, you need to know what you do. Yeah, I mean, you don't use a lot of colors, right, in your layouts. Otherwise, we call that the Christmas tree. Don't use a lot of colors. So now let me talk about, since we have some time, about the coloring in a layout. We have two types of colors in the design. We have what we call expression and what we call um, oh yeah, I lost it. As expression and function. Okay, you have expression and function. You have two type of colors. Two. So what is an expression in a layout, right? Well, this is an expression, a button here, right? Like this, something like this. Where are the gears? Where are the gears? The gears, okay, here. So you have something like this, right? This is an expression, right? This, you have the home, let's say the home button, for example. If I found it, you have the home button like this, right? And you can use this, right? So you have the home, you have this one here, you have a button here, and then you have something like this, right? And then you have some fields, right? Okay, so this is an expression. This is an expression. This is an expression. That means it's a different color to differentiate the buttons to something else. Okay, that's what we call expression. There's no function here. Now, this here, this is a function. Let's put that, right? The delete button, this is a function. Delete red, right? Delete red, you know. Now you have another function here, right? Is this. It's like this, right? You have a validation, right? You have validate or accept or, like accept, right? I don't have a lot of icons here, but okay, we don't need. Let's do this. Accept, deny, right? This is a function. Accept, deny. We have, this is a function. That means the color give you an additional functionality. Here, the blue doesn't give you nothing. You can change to green if you want. No, you can change to another color. Don't use traditional function colors like green and red, right? Or you can even have, we can have a new button here, right? That I use a lot, like this, right? I'm using this a lot. So, and you understand why, right? I'm using those colors because they are, so this is the background 1.3, right? So I can do this and say maybe and use this, right? So you can use the traditional orders if you want. You understand this is the, traffic lights, right? So this is traffic lights. So you have, this is yes, this is okay, we don't know, and this is no, right? You know what I mean? So you have something like this. After that, right, when you want to, let's say, you have something like this, right? So you have this here, right? And you want to, so let's change the line here. You see the line is black. This is way too strong. So I have a line and I have those state as well on the line, right? But I want the E6 for the line. So now I have a line like this. I can save the default of this line. So all the line, boom, 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 change to this. And now let's say you have this, right? But you want to play a little bit with two states, right? So you have two buttons here. You have the cancel button and you have the validate button, right? Cancel, validate, right? And this, you want like this. So you play, the main, this is main, this is not main, this is secondary. So you play with this. You play with the difference like this. So you can see here, we have an expression. Doesn't make any difference here. It just express that one is more strong than another, right? So you understand, it's like when you have a message like this, I don't know, like, print. Well, you know, I don't know if I have printer here that I don't have, but I don't know. When you have a, you know, can go there, this has an expression, create, and this is not, right? But this is create. And if you create something, well, if you change, um, or I don't know how to change this to make change, but um, see, so you have one that is always more strong than the others. Okay. Typically, this one is also the button that is activated when you do a carriage return, right? A carriage return will do this, right? We do the one highlighted, correct? If I do another carriage return, I validate this. Why? Because when you do this, right, you accept, and then you have this one highlighted, right? And typically the escape discard, get out, right? You can do that too with FileMaker. You can follow the same thing, but it could be just a visual thing also. When you have two things and you want to emphasize something, right? You use that technique here. With theme will help you a lot to keep consistency with your layout, right? So no questions so far?
Someone added, I always name my backgrounds blue, red, green, because I never remember what 1, 2, 3 is. So
It's up to you. I mean, I tend not to do the color things. You can do it. It's because even if you don't remember, you can do this. You know, it's not going to destroy you. The most is important to keep the connection here, right? But you can do that by background one, background red, blue, whatever. You can do what fits you. But the concept is don't name the style for what they do, because you cannot name for what they do because it can do anything. A green button can do accept, can be go next, can be, so how you name it? Go next, accept, validate, how you will name that style, right? To fit everything. So keep like this, highlighted. So the same for the text here, right? So for the text here, um, I tend to have my labels different than this. So this is a default text, which is okay because when you come here, you want to say, okay, this is my default text. Okay. But also, I don't, I change that behavior with the default, which is not very comfortable. Keep it like this, right? Standard, right? So for the default text, right? You keep it like this, default, right? But for the labels, you have different labels. So you want to think about labels. So which label you can have? You can have multiple labels. Labels, label. How you spell label? Okay.
EL. Yep.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. And so, yeah, because since I'm in the Spanish world, English is no longer my main language. So, um, so I want different labels. I want label 10, right? And gray, a little bit stronger. This is my label 1, okay? So here, right, you can you send you can do whatever you want, right? But this is label 1, right? Then I have label 2, right? So what label 2 is the same centered that label 2. And label 3 is right. So now you can do whatever you want, right? So I can do this and say these are label free. Or you can do this, right? And say these are label 2, label 1, right? Correct? So you can manipulate your labels easily. By default, a label will come with the default text, right? Defaults. But so I need to save this to the, right? But those are like this, right? Chung, 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 like this, right? So now you manipulate your labels. Now, sometimes we want different type of, so when you want something simple in your life, okay, something simple, and you want to separate those things, see this, let's say you have something like this, okay? Let's say you have something like this, and you want to separate those things, right? And you want separation. So instead of doing this and put the background and put the back, because you see here, you will get this, right? And it's not really what I want. Why? Because it doesn't look good. Look, doesn't look good. Because when you hear, you see, you don't want this. It doesn't look good. See, doesn't look right. It doesn't, because I have a border when I have the in focus state, and I don't want the border, the separation to be the border. This is a mistake. Okay, so I don't do that. Revert, right? And you do that instead, right? So so you can duplicate this, and the guide will help you duplicate this, right? So now you have your separation, and it looks like this. Much better, correct? So you manage your separation like this. So you don't try. So the message here is what? Don't try to have one object with multiple functions. A field is a field. A separator is a separator. You understand? So don't try to make something like a complex stuff, right? That is hard to maintain, not really usable. So, and start to get our, an object that has one function, one behavior, let's say, is the best, is a better terminology. One behavior. This is a behavior of a field, right? This is the behavior of a separation, a label, and it looks way better. Otherwise, you will have problem of alignment. You can't really deal. You need to modify the padding if you want more space. Because if I want more space here, for example, if I want to say I'm going to do this, right? And I want more space. So look how this works. I want to space those. I spread one and I select type of object by type of object. So I saw that I have a duplication here. Yeah, see, I have a duplicated object here. So here we do this. You hide and you see that I have a duplication. Okay. So I'm selecting those objects here. See? I'm not selecting or I'm selecting those objects and I'm using this tool, the spacing, to do this. Now I'm putting that here, right, where it should be, and I select those two additional space. And then I'm selecting those space. Boom. I got my space, more space, evenly, distributed, you know, almost, right? So, so that's why, don't try, you don't have this type of freedom if you try to combine the border to make a border separation, right? It won't work well. You understand? So I think I made a good demonstration on this here. So let's respace it. See, because it's very easy. Boom, I respace them. I realize. So I'm making this one. I'm making this one, and then I'm saying this one spaced vertically. So now I have something perfectly aligned, right? So that's why when you have multiple objects like this, it's simpler to do something like this. So if we don't have any question, I can follow, I can continue, right?
There's someone asking real fast,
Yes,
how do they add a font they want that isn't currently available to a theme?
you need to install the font in your system.
Hmm.
Being said, you need to install this font on all the computer that you will run FileMaker.
Ah,
Yeah, you won't be able to include that font in the, no, it is not possible to do that. So if you don't have the font, it will go back to mom, which is Arial,
there you go.
right?
Yep. Hmm.
So yeah, that's why, you know, anyway, um, you have many fonts in your system. You need to use the font that you have in your system, but be careful if you are on a multi-platform environment like Mac and PC. Make sure you have both on. There's one font you will never ever use in your entire existence. It's Helvetica because it will be a nightmare
Why?
because you have different paddings. This font has been manipulated since decades so
Oh,
much. You have differences between the Helvetica you have on the Mac 10.1 and the 10.2 you have another one, and the 10.3 you have another one, and on PC you have another one. On the Windows 10 you have one, and you can have a different one, and it's a nightmare total,
I wonder
complete.
what's the issue with my reports. My reports always
Yeah,
look
yeah, yeah.
wildly different between Mac and Windows with the fonts, and I wonder.
Okay, because you're using Helvetica. If you so, but you have a savior. If you like Helvetica, you can use one that is on both platform, right? Helvetica Neo.
Oh,
They fix it. This one, they fix it. This one, see, there's a difference of padding already. See, it moves. You
yeah.
know,
Okay.
the baseline is different. So if you want, if I understand that, I know why you want to use Helvetica in your printing. Okay, so use Helvetica Neo and not Helvetica. It's the same font. You know, if I put that in a text, you won't see differences. You know,
Yeah, I just pulled up my
Helvetica.
report, and it's all Helvetica. And I have spent so much time trying to get it to look good on Windows and Mac.
Yeah, and you didn't succeed.
No.
So which differences you see? None. The only difference you will see is the behavior on the padding, on the base, the line, the baseline, and how it behaves between Mac and PC,
Yep. Well, I know what I'll
right?
do later. I'm gonna go fix that.
So you can change to Helvetic Enner and you will see the difference. Um, personally, I don't see any benefits of getting on the layout to get out of Arial, which is mom for FileMaker. So then I'm good. I mean, I don't care about the font. I don't give a damn on the font personally because I mean we want to be the pragmatic here. Font is very important on many things, but unfortunately we don't have time to to deal with this. So Arial is mom for FileMaker. I'm good with mom, right? If tomorrow they said, "Oh, mom is times," I'm going times. But typically, also in the layouts, right? What you need to know, you don't want the layout like this. You have this, and then you have another one with Calibri, and Calibri is nice too. Calibri is nice too. So you don't want the layout that looks like this, right? Right. So you don't want the layout 1, 2, 3, 4, 10 font now. When you have one font, is one font for all. One font for all, right? That is like one highlight color for all. So you can have, the expression colors. Expression. Remember my expression? This is an expression. This is an expression, right? So you have expression. That means this is less important than this. This is more important than this.
Mm-hmm.
If you put everything at the same level, right? Well, it's hard to know. Your eyes is catched by this much more than this, right? So actually this is 12, the default. Oh, the default is 11. Oh, that's why. Yeah, I manipulate so much the default. So you see what I mean? So you have no differences between this is hard to read, right? This is better to read. Better. You see what it is, but it's not. This is important. The data. This is secondary, right? You understand? So also something I want to mention. You can't um, manipulate. So you can change this to multiple objects as one, right? You understand? But what you can do is select two different objects, right? You can do that. Okay. Also, here, so you can change at once, right? You can do this also, right? So be careful on this. Okay. But what you can do, right, is select this and paste on both. You can paste one by one. That's why it's important to have the style because you say, oh, I want this style here and do this. Nah. What you can do, interestingly, right, is let's say you have a slide control, right? Or not a slide. Yeah, yeah, you can say you can do that. Let's say I have a slide control here, right? And you want this style here and paste here, right? So you can get some of those things. You understand? You can. It will get in, right? So you can borrow something, right? For example, let's say I'm going to build this the way I want it, right? I'm going to make it the way I want, right? So 10 and 1, 1, 6, 2. So I have this. So now I want this to be my default shape. Okay. So let's say now I'm going to build a popover. Remember, popovers are buttons. So now, interesting. I have all my style for buttons on popover as well, because a popover is a combination of a button and a panel. Correct? So all what I built for buttons, I have on popover as well. Now I can borrow this style here and paste here in this one. Boom. Look, I do it again. This is a shape. This is pretty much a shape, right? It's a shape. This is a shape, right? And this one is a shape as well. So I can borrow this style and paste it here. Oh, boom. I got it, right? So now I have a new popover objects without having to change. So you can borrow style from one objects to another, right? And then, so this is a popover, but be careful on the popover. This is, you don't save the popover doing this. If you change this, you change the button. Be careful on the popover. If you change the style and you save the style thinking that you are in a popover, no, you are in the button. The popover is here. So if you want to save the popover, this is a popover. This is not. You understand? Be careful. So now you can say, this is my default popover with this, the button. So if I want to build another popover, it comes by default like this and like this. I can change the style of the button, and here I have one style. Be careful with popover, right? So another object we didn't talk about much, and I want to do that right now, is the what happened here? Current table, active state. That weird. It didn't come. Yeah, maybe that's a bug or whatever. Okay, so I have an object here. I have a poll. Poll are extremely, completely super complex objects. Okay. Why? Because you have a lot of components. I mean, you have a row and you have primary, alternate, active, over, and pressed. Okay. So let's use this like this. Okay. I don't know why it didn't want to come and inside, but it's okay. So now I have a portal, correct? But this portal here is way too complex, right? So I mean, we have too many things. Let me close the door here because I have many noise here. Sorry for that.
No, you're good.
Oops. I hope the room won't resonate too much, but it's okay. So we have a portal here, and this portal, I have too many objects here. You know, it's the border, too many objects. So let's clean this. You know, too many objects. So we keep the background on white. Okay, we keep that because it's easier to understand what's going on. We don't want that to be completely bland. Okay. But we have many objects to take care of this. So that's why I remove this, no background. So on all states like this, so we have a very minimalist object like this, no border, right? And so the shape on this here, we don't have power on this, but we can borrow from other theme. And I'm going to show you this. That's why I want to spend some time on Paul's to show you this. So I don't want I don't want an object like it's too complex, right? So no borders by default. Then we have the row, right? So the row, you have the primary row, which is a normal row. Then we have the alternate row, right? When you do this, which we can keep the way it is. The active row, we can also keep the way it is. Is okay. Is good. This color. You can change it if you want, and then you have the hover state. I don't recommend you do that. Okay, because the hover state, you do this, right? And it is not really, so you have like this. So if I do new, so you have like this, right? So it's a little bit too much, in my opinion. It's not necessary, but something better you can do than, putting on hover states on the row, right? Pressed, hover, active, alternate, and primary. So I have my object here. I can save it, right? So let's say I'm doing this, getting rid of the scroll bar. So this is my object here, right? So, and I can remove this for now. Instead of doing the hover state on the row, which is very strong, in my opinion, we will do the hover state here. So we will select the text that we have here, right? Select the text. And we do this. Hover. This. Right? Hover state. The press state, which is the same. And we have the in focus. Right? So now I have a new object here. I have a new style. Okay. So this is hover one. Hover one. And I can apply this style on all of them. Hover one. So now I have a hover state that is much more interesting. See? So I can see. This hover state is better than to have the word row, right? You understand? Right? So we have a hover state because now if I want, I can build something like this, right? And it works much better like this. Front, right? So let's build like this, right? So if you want to have the scrolling bar, you can, right? So you just have to glue it on this one. Up. It's okay, right? So you have the scrolling bar like this. Then you can, if you have something like this, right? So it looks better than to have something like, or with the border of this, right? So, but technically technically we want something like this, right? So you have this, right? And if you want a separation here, you can say, okay, I want temporarily add this, but the problem of this, so that's why I don't like using the border on the portal. Look what happened. It happened this. I select this and I put a border. Boom, it moved down. But if I double click here and I validate, boom, it changed the height on this because everything has to be reevaluated. Let me do it again, right? So this is the natural size of my portal. If I said I want this and I want this, so it moves, see? See the size of even the size of this moved. Boom. See? Boom. And if I double click on it and doing this, poof, it gets realigned. It get changed the height. And here change the height. So that means you can potentially break your portal. That's why I don't like it. I have a portal as is, right? I have my portal as is, right? And if I want a border, well, I'm doing this. I'm drawing a line. I'm selecting both objects, position, align to the left, resize to the width, and I have my border. Boom. And I don't have problems with my portal, right? Like this, poof. So now I have a portal, but I don't have any problem, correct? If I need a line, sometimes I don't. Most of the time I don't need a line on top. You know, you can just leave it like this. I typically don't show this, right? So that means I can do this, right? And I can put, like this. And yep, I have my UI. And the advantage of this is that you don't need to have the portal, right? To go to the end. It's okay if it's like this because you don't see it. Look, it looks perfect, right? It looks perfect because you don't have border, you don't have nothing,
Hmm.
right? So we right on time.
No, just people saying this is a really interesting presentation on a topic that is rarely discussed. So,
Yeah, it's a theme. I try to show you or tell you where you can get screwed up, and where you shouldn't go, what you shouldn't do. Stay simple, stay simple, stay simple. I implore you for that because you will save time and it will look good. It will look modern. Go Facebook, go Instagram, go to those big websites and you will see they don't go crazy. They don't, right? They don't put boxes into boxes like we did in the 90s and the 2000s. And you know, you don't stay simple. Stay simple. Don't go crazy under uh, trying to do gradients and stuff like this. Right? It's okay. We don't need stay simple. Stay nice. Stay sleek, lean, and use the colors for what they need to be used. Don't put like 2 billion colors. Don't use multiple font size. You know, try to get everything simple, and you will save time, money. People will be happy. They will feel the layout light and understandable. So you have all the benefits there, and you won't be you know, crazy with borders and background. Anyway,
Yeah.
that's my advice.
Thank you very much, Nick. It's appreciated.
Welcome.
Like I said, I have printing layouts to now go change.
Yes, Helvetica.
I will be doing that shortly. All right. Thank you, everybody. I hope you all have a great day. Nick, I will see you next week.
See you next week. Bye bye.